Welcome to AZPM News Daily, a wrap-up of all the day's news from Arizona Public Media. I'm Steve Jess. On today's edition, an early poll shows the challenge facing Andy Biggs in the governor's race. Arizona has been spared this fire season.
There have been fewer starts in difficult terrains.
And a local museum celebrates Tucson 251.
We think of it as the founding of modern Tucson.
That's ahead for this Thursday, August 20th, 2026. Topping our news today, a new poll shows Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs is leading against Republican challenger Congressman Andy Biggs. The survey, conducted by Noble Predictive Insights, interviewed nearly 2,000 Arizonans, with 48% favoring Hobbs and 35% for Biggs. 12% said they remain undecided. Biggs remained popular among Republican respondents, with 3/4 supporting him. Still, 15% of respondents from the Republican side indicated they would cross party lines to vote for Hobbs. Biggs, who was endorsed by President Donald Trump, won against conservative candidate David Schweikert in the Republican primary last month. Tucson Council member Nikki Lee confirmed today that she won't run for a third term representing Ward 4. Lee shared her decision in her newsletter, A to Z with Nikki Lee. She wrote that after getting several questions about her future plans, she felt a need to be transparent about her decision, while also giving the people of the Southeast side time to think about what comes next. Lee was first elected to the Tucson City Council in 2019 and will wrap up her second term in December 2027. Arizona is having a relatively mild fire season, even as the rest of the country is breaking records. Taylor Griffith reports.
Arizona saw a slight increase in the number of fires this year compared to last, but they've been much easier to put out. John Truitt, the Arizona State Fire Management Officer, says that's for a few reasons. For one, there have been fewer starts in difficult terrains, save for the pocket fire near Sedona. Knowing that the potential for large wildfires was high this year, Truitt says fire officials were very active in their community outreach and prevention efforts.
And the messaging may be finally catching on, folks not dragging chains as much and those kind of things.
Lastly, the monsoon arrived on time and brought the amount of rain that is typically expected, which helped with lowering fire risk and extinguishing active fires. Taylor Griffith, Phoenix.
Arizona's Water Finance Agency took a step toward implementing 2 projects that could increase the state's water supply through partnerships with California and Mexico. Cameron Sanchez has that story.
The State Water Infrastructure Finance Authority solicited ideas for long-term water augmentation projects last year and is exploring 7 proposals. The board voted Wednesday to approve scopes of work for 2 of those proposals. Director Chelsea McGuire.
These are the scopes that actually dictate real work on the ground to give us real answers to the questions we all have, like how much is this water going to cost? Do we have willing exchange partners and willing stakeholders and partners in the communities where these projects are going to be built?
The projects in question were proposed by EPCOR, a utility provider based in Canada. They would each bring in about 100,000 acre-feet of water to Arizona per year, but would take several years to implement. That's enough water to serve 600,000 single-family homes. Cameron Sanchez, Phoenix.
The Arizona Supreme Court has rejected a lawsuit against Secretary of State Adrian Fontes. The suit argued he tried to trick voters into rejecting an election reform ballot measure backed by Republicans. We hear more from Wayne Schutzke in Phoenix.
The lawsuit was filed on behalf of 3 Arizona voters by America First Legal, a firm aligned with President Trump. It took issue with the ballot description Fontes crafted for Proposition 144, which would make a number of changes to Arizona election laws if approved by voters. The suit argued the description doesn't mention parts of the proposed law that would explicitly state non-citizens cannot vote in Arizona elections, something that's already illegal. The Supreme Court found the 3 voters challenging the description didn't have standing, meaning they had no legal justification to bring the lawsuit in the first place. The court also concluded that Fontes has broad authority under the law to craft ballot measure descriptions, and that the language he chose was not false or clearly misleading. Wayne Schutzke, Phoenix.
The Mexican state of Sonora, south of Arizona, has confirmed its first case of screwworm in a cow just days before the border is set to reopen to cattle. Nina Kravinsky tells us more.
The U.S. has barred cattle from Mexico from crossing the border for more than a year to protect against the spread of the New World screwworm parasite. Now, Mexico has confirmed the first case of the parasite in the state of Sonora, more than a year and a half after the screwworm first entered Mexico in late 2024. The border is set to reopen to cattle on Monday, starting with the Agua Prieta Douglas crossing from Sonora into Arizona. The USDA did not immediately respond to a question about whether the reopening would still take place as scheduled. Texas has confirmed more than 40 cases since the parasite first appeared in the United States earlier this summer. Nina Kravinsky, Hermosillo.
A Flagstaff company's mission to boost a space telescope into a higher orbit around the Earth has failed. Catalyst Space revealed that stability and control problems with the spacecraft meant to grab the telescope have not improved during the past 2 weeks. The company explained in a statement that the goal to capture the Neil Gehrels Swift Observatory cannot be reached. The Space Telescope is in a decaying orbit and is likely to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere by the end of the year. It was recently renamed to honor Neil Gehrels, a University of Arizona alumnus who went on to a distinguished career in astrophysics. University of Arizona researchers are looking into the history of human survival to find out why we live as long as we do. Tony Perkins has more on that.
U of A molecular scientist George Sutphin explains evolution plays a role in why some species have more longevity than others.
Evolution doesn't select for individual health or survival directly. It selects for population survival.
Sutphin notes age is the primary risk factor for the most prevalent diseases in our society, including cancer. He notes humans have evolved to extend our lifespan and at the same time developed ways to treat or prevent many types of age-associated diseases. I'm Tony Perkins, AZPM News.
You can hear more on Arizona science coming up Friday at noon on NPR 89.1. Arizona's Children's Association is collecting donations of laptop computers through the end of this month for teenagers in foster care. The drop-off site in Tucson is at the Children's Association office on North Oracle Road. Donations of new and gently used laptops will be accepted until August 31st. The Arizona Children's Association says it's collecting laptops in Phoenix and Yuma as well to support students completing assignments, applying for jobs, and communicating with teachers. The nonprofit is the largest foster care provider in the state. You can find out more about the drive on the ACA's Facebook page. Tonight, that's Thursday night, the Presidio Museum in downtown Tucson is opening up for a celebration of Tucson's history called Tucson 251. Kate Avalos is the director of interpretive programming at the museum. She wanted the event to celebrate the language, history, and culture of Tucson stretching back to 1775.
We're actually celebrating the day that the proclamation was signed where the Spanish decided to build a fort in Tucson. People have actually been living in Tucson for thousands of years, so 251 is just the Spanish proclamation. And in a way, we think of it as the founding of modern Tucson.
The free event will feature live music and drinks from the museum's bar, Brandywine, including beverages made with historic ingredients served in period-inspired cups. Tucson 251 runs tonight from 6:30 to 10 p.m. at the Presidio Museum. And now you're caught up on the stories we've covered today at Arizona Public Media. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to AZPM News Daily wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Steve Jess, and we'll be back tomorrow.